My sweet, slightly clueless wife has been acting incredibly bizarre lately. Not only does she demand daily hugs, kisses, and getting lifted into the air like a toddler, but she also sneaks into my blanket in the dead of night, wearing black stockings, practically drooling as she tries to steal the milk candy flavor right out of my mouth. She even proudly declared that, "My rules are the rules." All because she seemingly figured out she was doomed to be a tragic supporting female character, so she decided to just say screw it and let loose. Previously, the male lead only needed to whisper a soft word, and she would happily trot over to hand him money and resources, earning herself the grand nickname of the wealth-distributing fairy. Now, when the male lead comes begging, she just deadpans. "Just pretend I'm dead. We're all gonna kick the bucket someday anyway." Before, if the female lead came crying, she would be filled with righteous fury and rush to help without even asking for a reason. Now, when the female lead comes looking for her, she says, "Sitting in the AC too much will make you sick, and poking your nose into other people's business will get you killed." However, on our way to get a divorce, she suddenly pulled a 180 with absolute determination. "That's right, I regret it. No more pretending. Cards on the table. I'm not divorcing you anymore." Right at that moment, the male lead came over to borrow money from my wife again. As soon as I stepped out of the room, I heard my wife's fiercely impatient voice. "Whenever you're broke, you come looking for me. What, do you not have a family of your own?" Caspian's voice carried a hint of a sob, saying that Roxy had beaten someone up. The victim's family said if they didn't cough up the cash, they'd throw her in jail. "Even if they throw her into a crematorium, it's none of my damn business. You want to borrow money? Fine. First, pay back the 200,000 plus you already owe me." Hearing that, Caspian sounded utterly bewildered. "You're so rich, and I only borrowed a measly 200-something grand, yet you're actually asking me to pay it back. Why are you screaming? How is your face thicker than a fortress wall? If I slapped you right now, you probably wouldn't even dare hit back, huh?" After those words, Caspian was left speechless for a good while. Then, I heard the sound of the door slamming shut. Seraphina snorted coldly. "Scamming my feelings is one thing, but you want to scam my money too?" Saying that, Seraphina turned around and our eyes locked. The very next second, the woman who was just as fierce as a Tibetan mastiff plastered on a goofy husky smile. "Hubby, I just used all my might to protect our joint assets. Tell me, am I a good girl or what?" Holding the divorce papers, the words I was about to say got stuck in the corner of my mouth. After a long pause, I managed to squeeze out one word. "Good. I transmigrated into this novel a month ago. My wife, Seraphina, is the biggest scapegoat of the entire story, or rather, the hopelessly devoted supporting female character, famously dubbed the ATM sister. The novel is a healing romance. The male lead, Caspian, is a warm, gentle, and thoughtful man. The female lead, Roxy, is an uneducated, delinquent street girl. In the early stages of the story, the female lead is incredibly rebellious, while the male lead stays by her side, making up for her mistakes and never giving up on her. Eventually, the male lead successfully guides the female lead to turn over a new leaf, becoming a female CEO. And my wife is the wealth-distributing fairy of this book. Despite having the background of a financial elite princess, the author hardwired her brain with a terminal case of love on the brain. Whenever the female lead caused trouble, the male lead would come to Seraphina to borrow money. The cash was spent by her, but the good guy points all went to the male lead. She loved him secretly for years, yet remained nothing but a spare tire. If that wasn't enough, even at the very end, when the female lead started building her strong independent woman persona to launch her startup, it was the male lead who went begging Seraphina to provide the angel investment. Later, when the female lead achieved massive success, she turned around and blamed Seraphina for being a busybody, harboring resentment in her heart. The story ended with the female lead acquiring Seraphina's company. Seraphina, bankrupt, quietly faded away while the male and female leads lived happily ever after, even popping out triplets at the end. As for me, I am Seraphina's contract husband from back in the day. After our gentle, male lead realized Seraphina's feelings for him, he apologized, claiming he only saw her as a sister and wanted to cut contact. To dispel the male lead's suspicions and to be able to stay by his side, our hopelessly devoted spare tire found me, a contract husband for a flash marriage. Sure enough, Caspian bought it, genuinely believing Seraphina no longer liked him, and resumed contact with her. When I transmigrated here, the contract had just expired. According to the original plot, I was supposed to take the money and leave, and the rest of the story would have absolutely nothing to do with me anymore. After all, a passing NPC like me only had about 3 scenes in this multi-million-word novel. But I never expected that right as I was preparing for the divorce, Seraphina had an awakening. She seemed to know she was a tragic supporting character, and started letting loose. No more lending money, no more getting a divorce. The once aloof and distant little princess of the financial world even let herself go completely, starting to curse up a storm. That night, as I was getting ready to sleep, the bedroom door was suddenly pushed open. Seraphina stood at the door, pitifully hugging a small pillow. "Hubby, I can't sleep." Seraphina and I had always slept in separate rooms. Not knowing what kind of fit she was throwing this time, I tested the waters with a reply. "If you can't sleep, go outside and jog 2 laps." To my surprise, Seraphina answered without hesitation. But I don't want to jog 2 laps outside. I want to jog 2 laps around your heart. That cheesy line practically caused my brain to freeze. Completely ignoring my speechless expression, she hugged her little pillow and crawled right into my bed. I was dumbfounded. You're not actually planning to sleep here, are you? Seraphina blinked her innocent eyes. You're not actually planning to kick me out, are you? Shouldn't I kick her out? We were technically an old married couple, but practically speaking. Hearing my hesitation, Seraphina whipped out our little red marriage certificate from her pajama pocket and waved it in my face. Who says so? I'm legally certified, okay? Then she laid completely flat next to me and squeezed her eyes shut. There, I'm asleep now. Just as I was racking my brain trying to figure out what triggered such a massive personality shift in Seraphina, I suddenly remembered her refusing to lend Caspian money that morning. Wait a minute. Could it be that Seraphina was refusing the divorce simply because she was too stingy to pay my breakup fee? I am a minor background character. The original book didn't waste much ink on me. But after crossing over, I synced with the original owner's memories. The original owner and Seraphina were college classmates. Rowan had always secretly harbored feelings for this senior of his. Because of this, when she proposed a fake marriage, Rowan agreed without a second thought. At the time, he even foolishly daydreamed about their fake romance turning real. However, for the next year, all he received was endless coldness and the sight of his wife constantly catering to another man's every whim. Even though it seemed Seraphina had awakened now, who knew if this wasn't just a new tactic to attract the male lead? After all, the thought process of romance novel authors is truly beyond mortal comprehension. Therefore, I felt I should still get divorced as soon as possible and completely detach myself from all the main characters of the original plot. Just when I couldn't find a good opportunity to terminate the contract, I bumped into Caspian. After work that day, Caspian was squatting in front of my door. He sat flat on the stairs, looking all pitiful, cold, and pathetic. Hearing footsteps, Caspian lowered his voice and said, "Seraphina, my dear sister, you're finally home." Before he could finish his sentence, he realized it was the wrong person. His tone instantly snapped back to normal. "Why is it you?" The speed of this face flipping was honestly neck and neck with Seraphina. I rolled my eyes. "You're sitting in front of my house right now and you're asking why it's me? If your cerebellum is shrinking and you can't find your way home, I can kindly help you call the cops. This isn't your house. It's Seraphina's house." He stood up, looking at me with an inexplicable sense of superiority. "Did you badmouth me to Seraphina? Is that why she refused to lend me money? Seraphina's money is hard-earned by her. What right does a freeloader like you have to dictate anything?" Talk about disaster striking while sitting peacefully at home. From childhood until now, I had never been pointed at and interrogated like this. "Oh, so you also know that your dear sister Seraphina's money is hard-earned? Does it have a single cent to do with you?" Since Seraphina wasn't here, I fully let loose. I wanted to roast him yesterday but held my tongue. He should be thanking his lucky stars. Yet today, he actively delivered himself to my doorstep. Even a monkey asking for money knows how to ride a unicycle. But look at you, bringing nothing but your thick skin and an empty mouth to my door. Do you think your face is worth more than a performing monkey's? Young and capable, but you don't focus on working. You just obsess over catching wolves bare-handed and reaping rewards without lifting a finger. Always dear sister this, dear sister that. Does your mother know you're out here adopting random god sisters every day? Caspian was so furious, his face turned beet red, stammering without being able to form a sentence. You what you? If you can't speak clearly, go back to school before you come here begging." As soon as I finished, the elevator doors opened, and Seraphina walked out. Caspian looked like he had just seen his savior. "Sister Seraphina, look at this good husband of yours!" I turned my head and met her unfathomable gaze. I wasn't sure how much of that conversation she had overheard. My heart sank. The original Rowan had a cold and quiet personality. This was the main reason Seraphina chose him as a contract husband back then. I had been terrified of breaking character, so since arriving here, I had been extra careful with my words and actions, afraid she would notice something off. Today I probably ruined it all, but I quickly calmed down. Whatever, I didn't want to live this life anymore anyway. Let the chips fall where they may. But I forgot. I didn't expect Seraphina to open her mouth and just sound utterly lazy. "Do you think I'm a judge? I'm dead tired from working all day, and now I have to hold a trial for you after work. How much overtime pay are you giving me to boss me around like this?" Saying that, she pulled me behind her, her voice turning incredibly soft. "Did he bully you?" The one who needed justice was Caspian, but the one getting the tender care was me. Hearing these words, Caspian suffered a total breakdown. "Seraphina, he bullied me." "Nonsense, my husband was at most just stating the facts." With that, she pulled out her phone. "There's someone trying to rob us right in front of my house. My husband is so scared he's practically crying. What are you security guards getting paid for? How can you just let anyone in? Come up here and drag this guy away right now." Seraphina's expression turned ugly. "I'm a very petty and vindictive person. If you bother my family again, don't blame me for not being polite." When we got inside that day, I initially thought Seraphina would interrogate me about the whole incident or grow suspicious of my sudden personality change. However, reality proved I was overthinking it. Not only did she not bring it up, but she became even more overly affectionate towards me. Early in the morning, right after getting to work, a text from Seraphina popped up. "Hubby, why haven't you texted me yet? Do I look illiterate to you? Tomorrow has another. Tomorrow, there are so many tomorrows. You have so much work, just leave it for tomorrow. When you get off work, I'll pick you up for a date, okay? Let's just stop working for today." A dignified CEO openly slacking off, is that really okay? With this work ethic, I reckon the female lead wouldn't even need to try. Seraphina could bankrupt the company all by herself. I placed my phone face down on the desk, completely ignoring her. The original owner was a journalist for a business weekly magazine. I had majored in journalism in college, so this was right up my alley. Just as I opened my laptop to write an article, I saw the editor-in-chief walking in with someone. "Everyone, pause your work for a moment. Let me introduce you all. This is our new intern." Looking closely, I was shocked to see it was Caspian. Only then did it hit me. Caspian, with his warm-as-jade little son persona, used to be a professional corporate slave. But the novel mentioned that Seraphina couldn't bear to see him work so hard, so she pulled some strings to get him into a publishing house. After that, she used her connections to help Caspian score exclusive interviews with several big shots in the business world. Relying on Seraphina, Caspian quickly established a foothold in the industry, rising from an errand boy to the editor-in-chief of a top-tier magazine. But I hadn't known before that Caspian and the original owner actually worked in the same place. Thinking about it, Seraphina was truly top-tier. Arranging for her white moonlight to work at the same company as her husband was one thing, but giving all the resources to the white moonlight? Damn it. Now I wanted a divorce even more. Caspian, true to his male lead status, immediately started running errands for everyone and buying them milk tea. Very quickly, he maxed out the entire office's favorability meter. I had originally intended to ignore him, but surprisingly, he walked right over to my desk carrying a milk tea. "Rowan, I came to apologize to you." His voice was neither too loud nor too soft, just enough for the whole office to hear. Someone curiously asked, "You guys knew each other before?" Before I could even open my mouth, Caspian nodded. "Rowan's wife is a sister I grew up with. A good friend of mine recently got sick and desperately needed to borrow some money. Rowan found out, wasn't happy about it, and had a huge argument with me. Then he turned to me. I'm sorry, I was too rushed that day. My friend was waiting for surgery money. Don't worry, I'll figure out the money situation myself. I won't bother you and her anymore." What a masterful manipulation of concepts and inversion of cause and effect. The way my colleagues looked at me instantly changed. They said to Caspian, "You just graduated, how much money could you possibly have? Every family has emergencies. People these days are too pragmatic. They rush in when there's profit and hide when there's trouble. What disease does your friend have? How much are you short? Let's see if we can help you figure something out." The original owner used to be a pushover, often helping his colleagues work overtime, but they never thanked him for it. Instead, they constantly mocked him behind his back for being an idiot. Hearing these sarcastic jabs, I slammed my mouse onto the desk. His friend has a mental illness. She picked a fight, beat someone into a pulp, and doesn't have the money to pay for damages. It's not much anyway, just a few $100,000, I sneered. Aren't you guys living bodhisattvas? Why did you stop talking? While you're helping him out, you might as well fill the $200,000 hole he scammed from my wife too. It'll save me the cost of hiring a lawyer to sue him. The whole office instantly fell dead silent. My phone was still buzzing. The messages were all from Seraphina. "I can carry bags of rice. I can carry sacks of noodles. But I can't carry the weight of missing you." Looking at the purely one-sided chat history, I finally understood what they meant by a grand silent love. It's okay if you ignore me. I can withstand the loneliness of one person, but I can also handle the joy of two. I didn't bother entertaining her cheesy pickup lines and cut straight to the chase. "Your good brother has come to work at our station. We're in a fake marriage anyway, no property disputes involved. The contract has expired. Find some time to go to the Civil Affairs Bureau and process the divorce." Almost instantly, Seraphina replied, "I'm very busy, no time." The next message, "I just got off work. I'm coming to pick you up right now. Wait for me." I admitted defeat. Could she not see how those two messages contradicted each other? On the ride back, Seraphina was like a puppy that had done something wrong, not daring to breathe too loudly. It wasn't until we got home that she finally spoke up. "The job thing was truly an accident. I'll call your editor-in-chief and have him fired right now. No need for all that trouble. Once we finalize the divorce, I'll be resigning anyway." "I'm not getting a divorce." Seraphina suddenly raised her voice, making me jump. "Why not?" Although the contract stated 1 year, there was a supplementary clause at the end. If we fall in love with each other, the contract will automatically become void. "Did you forget you were the one who proposed that?" Her words jogged my memory. The original owner did have fantasies about this marriage and actually took the initiative to add that clause. I was about to argue back when I suddenly realized something. "Wait, what you just said means you've fallen in love with me." Hearing this, Seraphina surprisingly started getting shy, a faint pink dusting the tips of her ears. Was I not obvious enough? I tried hard to recall Seraphina's recent actions. Okay, it was quite obvious, but the problem was I completely didn't dare to think in that direction. What kind of female supporting character doesn't love the male lead but falls for a background character instead? My head spun as I paced in circles. No, this isn't right. You shouldn't like me. Why? If I like you, I like you. I was originally designed with a love on the brain setting anyway. Why do you need so many whys? After she finished speaking, both of us fell silent. You said you were designed with a love on the brain setting? I carefully caught the loophole in her words. Do you know something? You're an NPC in a novel, and I'm not the real Rowan. Which one are you asking if I know? Well, alright, I know about both. I stuttered, completely lost for words. Since when did you know? Actually, not that long ago. Probably right after you got here. Seraphina scratched her head. Speaking of which, I really have to thank you. You were the one who told me. I was shocked. When did I say that? Why don't I know? She coughed lightly. There was this one time I had a high fever. You sat next to me and I heard you calling me an idiot. I recalled the incident. It seemed that did happen. It was shortly after I crossed over. Seraphina braved a heavy downpour to take the male lead to the hospital. As a result, when she got back, she ran a high fever that wouldn't break, staying unconscious for a whole night. I was afraid she'd die in my house and bring me bad luck, so I stayed by her side and took care of her all night. I thought she couldn't hear me, so I vented all the suppressed words I had been holding back. Who would have thought she heard every single word? So my cover had been blown ages ago. Then what was the point of all my exhausting acting all this time? Seeing my complicated expression, Seraphina pursed her lips. After that, I awakened. Then I couldn't help but pay attention to your every move. That's when I realized you and the original Rowan were vastly different. Gradually, I couldn't stop looking at you, and by the time I realized it, my love on the brain nature had somehow transferred onto you. That thing can be transferred? Seeing that I was still speechless, she got a little annoyed. Anyway, I've said everything I need to say. Divorce is out of the question. At the very least, you have to give me a chance to pursue you. No ifs, ands, or buts. That's that. My ears are off the clock now. Blah blah blah, I can't hear a word you're saying. Was it possible that Seraphina had turned into an idiot after her awakening? Eventually, I had to compromise. After all, a rich, beautiful, and wealthy princess like Seraphina was someone I would never have the chance to meet in my old world. I wasn't stupid. There was absolutely no need to stop an outstanding person from pursuing me. To be honest, being the target of a love-brained person felt pretty damn good. Chauffeured luxury cars aside, there was breakfast, lunch, afternoon tea, designer watches, roses. There were only things you couldn't think of, nothing she couldn't gift. But in the end, I still couldn't take it and had to order this girl to stop, narrowly avoiding the fate of turning the publishing house into a flower shop. On the surface, everyone was envious of our loving marriage, but behind my back, they gossiped. Rowan's wife never used to show off like this before, flexing their love every few days, showing such extreme attentiveness for no reason. She's either up to no good or feeling guilty. I bet his wife has done him dirty, yet there he is, smiling all day. Seraphina's identity was special, plus our marriage was originally a contract. My colleagues only knew I was married, and my partner had a $0 net worth. They had no idea my wife was actually the little princess of the financial world. The only person who knew my wife's true identity was Caspian. But something that would boost my status like this was exactly what Caspian would never mention. Hearing my colleagues whispering, Caspian leaned in and asked, "Did Rowan's wife never give him things before?" "Nope. At first, we didn't even know he was married. We only found out by looking at the updated personnel files." "So you're saying, it's only after I arrived that she started flexing their relationship so often?" The colleagues paused. "Seems like it." Caspian smiled warmly. "Thank you. I understand now." I was standing behind the door, conveniently overhearing their entire conversation. Caspian's expression made my mouth twitch. Did this guy actually think Seraphina treating me well was just a ploy to grab his attention? Sure enough, our male lead possessed an unimaginable level of self-confidence. That day, the publishing house had a meeting. The editor-in-chief proposed a new column to elevate the magazine's industry influence. The core content would revolve around exclusive interviews with corporate titans, analyzing their business moves and trends. The problem was that most of the renowned entrepreneurs had already been interviewed to death. Rehashing their stories wouldn't provide any fresh angles, and the debut issue was crucial. It would directly determine the survival of this column. Just as everyone was brainstorming potential business icons, Caspian suddenly raised his hand. "Editor, how about CEO Seraphina?" The editor's eyes lit up, but then he shook his head. "Seraphina definitely has the prestige, and she's a rare female entrepreneur to boot. It's just a pity she has never accepted any interviews before. I'm afraid we won't be able to invite her." Caspian shot me a meaningful glance. Even Rowan can't. Everyone simultaneously looked at me, seemingly wondering why my name was suddenly dragged into this. I smiled. "That's right. I don't have that kind of pull. Let me try then. Editor, if I actually manage to secure an interview with Seraphina, can I become a full-time employee?" Before the editor could respond, I scoffed. "If you secure the interview, you get a full-time position. But what if you fail? Are you going to resign?" The colleague who always badmouthed me immediately defended Caspian. "Rowan, why are you talking like that? If Caspian says it, he must have a plan. Why do you have to crush an intern's enthusiasm? I twirled my pen and smiled faintly. Just a joke. Why so serious? You guys make plenty of jokes behind my back. Do you see me taking them seriously? That colleague's face darkened. Before he could explain, I slapped my notebook shut. Whoever you can invite, you invite. Let's all rely on our own skills. Actually, I valued this interview opportunity just as much as Caspian did. If I remembered correctly, the launch of this new column wasn't just a turning point for the Business Weekly, it was also a pivotal moment in the male lead's career. In the original story, just like today, Caspian volunteered as an intern during the meeting. Relying on his special relationship with Seraphina, he effortlessly secured the interview. Not only that, Seraphina even ghost-wrote the article for him. Thanks to that piece, he shot to fame, securing his full-time position and later becoming the head of the column. And the magazine, riding on this success, eventually became the top industry analysis publication, even landing its own TV series spin-off. With such a golden opportunity, I naturally didn't want to miss out. However, unlike Caspian, Seraphina was not my top choice. I must admit, Caspian was a man of action. That very night, right after the meeting, Seraphina received a call from him. At the time, Seraphina was hugging her little pillow, bargaining with me outside my bedroom door. We are legally married. On what grounds won't you let me into the room? I'm going to the Women's Federation to demand justice. She was even bringing up the Women's Federation. This girl was really something. Ever since the night she sneaked into my bed, Seraphina had completely shredded our separate living agreement, unilaterally marching into my room whenever she pleased. If I recall correctly, you're still in the pursuing phase. They don't conflict. Right now, I'm just trying to get physically close to you so feelings can blossom over time. This is part of my courtship master plan. Don't think I can't hear the dirty double entendre in that. While we were bickering, Seraphina's phone rang. Seeing the caller ID, her brows instantly knitted together. One look at that expression, and I knew who it was. Go ahead and answer it. Your umbrella brother proudly declared in front of the editor today that he's going to snag an interview with you. I told you earlier to find someone to fire him, but you refused. Look at this massive headache now, Seraphina grumbled, then suddenly realized something. Wait, interview? What interview? So, I gave her a brief rundown of what happened during the day. Seraphina was not happy. Why did you say you didn't have the pull? I'll have my secretary clear my schedule right now. Come to my company tomorrow. We'll do the interview. Was that the main point here? That won't be necessary. I hesitated before saying, I don't plan on interviewing you. Seraphina went silent. She hugged her pillow and quietly walked out of the room. Seraphina was mad, the reason being that she wasn't my top choice for this interview. The person I chose was named Arthur Sterling. He was a first-generation business titan, a seasoned entrepreneur who had ventured into the global market early on, bought stocks, and driven the real economy. The old gentleman was now over 70, and getting him out of retirement was no easy feat. But whether for work or personal respect, I wanted to connect with this senior figure. That night, for the first time in history, Seraphina slept in her own room. Even though she drove me to work the next day as usual, she didn't bother me all day. When she picked me up, she had a long face, apparently terrified I wouldn't notice she was upset. I chuckled and poked her shoulder. Didn't you say yourself that you don't do interviews? That's for other people. Are you other people? My first time was specially reserved for you, and you didn't even want it. Now my heart is so shattered that even scanning a QR code couldn't piece it back together. What kind of nonsense analogy was that? So, do you have detailed info on Mr. Sterling or not? Public resources are limited. If I want to get the old man out of retirement, I need to be thoroughly prepared. Seraphina rolled her eyes. You rejected my interview, and now you want me to help you build a bridge? I cleared my throat. Wifey, help me out. Those two words instantly pacified the bristling Seraphina. Her face went blank, eyes staring straight ahead, as she enunciated every word. Call me wifey one more time. Her ears were turning red again. He's completely retired from the business world now. I can only do my best to ask around for you. That's all I need. A few days later, Seraphina handed me a dossier. The old man lives a very secluded life. This is all we could dig up for now. I treated it like a treasure. Just as I was about to dive into studying it, Seraphina pulled me back. I have one more piece of good news for hubby. I humored her. Wifey. The corners of her mouth lifted. Although the info is incomplete, your wifey pulled some strings and scored an incredible opportunity for you to have dinner with Mr. Sterling. However, it's a private occasion, so it's not convenient to bring you along. I can help pass on some documents to him. If he's interested, he'll naturally contact you. This was practically throwing the back door wide open for me. My heart hammered. I couldn't help but pull Seraphina into a tight hug and plant a kiss on her. Her eyes darkened. She gently poked my chest. Just this isn't enough to thank me, you know. There was only one chance scheduled for the weekend. But up until the day before, I still couldn't find a compelling angle to convince Mr. Sterling to accept my interview. In terms of experience, I had only been in the industry for 3 years. In terms of capability, I hadn't made any outstanding contributions. Back in the day, he even turned down Time magazine. Why would he say yes to a mid-tier publication like ours? Seeing my gloomy face, Seraphina hugged me. Worst comes to worst, your wifey will take the hit for you. Interview me instead. Am I a peerless beauty not equal to some frail old man? In terms of industry status, unfortunately, no. That night, I once again scrutinized the dossier Seraphina had given me. Suddenly, a name jumped out at me. Mr. Sterling's grandson, Preston Sterling. The name sounded vaguely familiar. I had definitely heard it somewhere. I suddenly clamped my hand over my mouth. It was him, the guy who got beaten severely by the female lead, Roxy. I had a very deep impression of this incident when I read the novel. You could call it the climax of the first half of the book. The female lead was a street punk. One day, during a brawl, she severely injured a young man trying to break up the fight. Normally, this wouldn't be a huge deal. Caspian would just borrow some money to settle it. But unexpectedly, the victim had an incredibly powerful background. They didn't want money, they just wanted to throw Roxy in jail. Roxy was finally terrified. With Caspian's help, she fled back to his hometown. Then Caspian went begging Seraphina again. As always, Seraphina had to expend a massive amount of effort to smooth things over. Not only that, but just like the countless times before, the person who poured out money and labor, Seraphina, was completely forgotten, while Caspian and Roxy's relationship took a massive leap forward. Because of this, Roxy turned over a new leaf and started her entrepreneurial journey. Calculating the timeline, it seemed right about now was shortly after Roxy assaulted that guy. So, the reason Caspian came begging Seraphina for money recently must have been for this exact mess. Originally, they still thought money could solve the problem. I connected the dots. Caspian hadn't mentioned Roxy for a while. He must have hidden her away. Without hesitation, I wrote down an address on a sticky note, slapped it on top of my prepared interview questionnaire, and instructed Seraphina, "You absolutely must tell Mr. Sterling to bring this culprit to justice." What kind of romance novel logic was this? If every criminal could be redeemed by the power of love, what the hell do we need the law for? They need to taste the swift hammer of justice so they know what consequence means. Sure enough, the very next day, I received a call directly from the old man himself. The person has been caught. I had locked down the information beforehand. "How did you know?" I replied cryptically. "With enough dedication, anything can be uncovered." "Good, that is the exact tenacity a journalist should have. Since you did me a favor, I will return it." The news that I secured an exclusive interview with the business titan struck the publishing house like a thunderbolt. The editor-in-chief was grinning from ear to ear. As expected, our veteran journalists are the real deal, not like some young folks nowadays who want to sprint before they can even walk, bragging so confidently in a serious meeting, and now looking like a total clown. Caspian lowered his head, not saying a word. Indeed, forget about getting an interview. From start to finish, Seraphina didn't even pick up a single call from him. If that wasn't a joke, what was? But I wasn't the type to kick a man when he's down. After the meeting, as I walked out, it was Caspian who blocked my path at the door. "Don't get too cocky. Seraphina didn't agree to your interview either. The person she truly loves has always been me. If I hadn't rejected her confession back then, she wouldn't have married you just to avoid suspicion." Hearing this, I remained silent for a moment. So, this guy knew everything all along. He had just been playing dumb, comfortably enjoying all of Seraphina's devotion without an ounce of guilt. I gave him a thumbs up. "You truly are a uniquely refined piece of trash. So shameless yet so confident." For successfully bringing the old titan out of retirement, Seraphina was the undisputed MVP. Taking advantage of this, she shamelessly demanded a mountain of benefits from me. In the middle of the night, while I was half asleep, her phone rang, jolting me awake. Annoyed, I pulled Seraphina closer. She groggily answered the phone with her eyes closed. Then the hoarse voice of a man echoed from the other end in the dead of night, sending shivers down my spine. "Hello, this is the bar. You're Mr. Caspian's friend, right? He's drunk and refuses to go home. He's just sitting here crying and screaming your name. We're about to close. Could you please come pick him up?" In the background, Caspian's howling could be heard. "Seraphina, do you really not want me anymore? Do you really not want your Caspian?" It sounded like a bad soap opera. Seraphina sounded highly irritated. "If someone is missing, call 911. If they're dead, call an ambulance. I'm asleep." Hanging up. With that, she quickly powered off her phone, hugged me, and prepared to go back to sleep. I poked her. "Are you really not going? He drank a lot. What if something happens to him? I have no morals. So don't even try to emotionally blackmail me," Seraphina snorted coldly. "Besides, he's supposedly blackout drunk, yet he specifically knew to have someone call me? My brain might be hardwired for love, but I'm not brain dead." I rubbed her head. Right. Your brain is very smart. Only good for throwing money at people." Roxy got sentenced. 1 year and 2 months. This news came directly from Mr. Sterling. I couldn't believe this novel actually neutralized the female lead just like that. In the past, aside from throwing punches, she really had nothing going for her. No wonder Caspian had been looking like a zombie these past few days, making mistake after mistake at work. I have to say, without Seraphina's golden touch, Caspian was aggressively mediocre. His sunny office boy persona couldn't shine anymore. Initially, he enthusiastically went out to interview various business elites, but as a rookie with no heavyweight backing him, his articles made zero impact. Conversely, after my deep and insightful interview with Mr. Sterling, I garnered widespread attention. Having Mr. Sterling as a gold standard endorsement made securing future exclusive interviews vastly easier. Now, even if Seraphina wanted to be interviewed by me, she'd have to take a number and wait in line. Regarding this, Seraphina declared, "Getting on your interview list requires a queue, but getting on you is a no-go." This woman was truly too bold. A few months later, Caspian resigned. The day he left, I happened to be out for an interview. When I returned to the office, he had already packed up. Seeing me, his perpetually gloomy face suddenly broke into a bizarre smile. "Rowan, let's wait and see." Muttering inexplicably, I went back to my desk and noticed my mouse had been moved. I assumed a colleague had accidentally bumped into it and didn't think much of it. Unexpectedly, 2 days later, an explosive headline broke the internet. "Financial princess exposed. Contract marriage. Husband accused of being a gigolo." The article revealed that the financial princess, Seraphina, was in a contract marriage with her husband Rowan. It not only leaked my detailed personal info but also claimed I married Seraphina purely to exploit the marriage for gain. My recent string of exclusive interviews with industry titans served as their ironclad proof. Of course, the final nail in the coffin was the screenshot of a chat log at the end of the article. "We're in a fake marriage anyway, no property disputes involved. The contract has expired. Find some time to go to the Civil Affairs Bureau and process the divorce." Based on the alignment of the sent message, it was obvious the photo was taken from my laptop. I suddenly recalled Caspian's parting words and my moved mouse. So, he had secretly snooped through my computer on his last day. The article sent shockwaves across the internet, instantly blowing up. Drama of the year. So what if she married someone else? The guy is a manipulative gold digger. What normal person agrees to a contract marriage? Is Seraphina a lesbian? Is it just a sham marriage? Look at his track record. All his interview subjects are massive tycoons. How could a nobody like him get those resources without riding her coattails? As the chatter grew louder, search terms like Rowan Nepo Baby, Seraphina Rowan, and Seraphina contract marriage skyrocketed to the top of the trending lists. But it didn't end there. Soon after, Caspian used his real name to publicly expose me online, detailing how I had allegedly bullied and suppressed him during his internship. In the video, he looked depressed and haggard. At the time, I didn't even know Rowan's wife was Seraphina. During a meeting, he intentionally dared me to interview her, saying if I couldn't get it, I should get lost. Usually, his news drafts were utter garbage, but when it came to fabricating rumors, he was a seasoned pro. Perhaps his whole fellow exploited corporate slave angle struck a chord with the public. The comments below were overflowing with sympathy, sending hugs to the OP. "I've experienced workplace bullying too. He purposely set an impossibly high KPI, and when I couldn't hit it, he questioned my competence. One look at that guy's face, and you know he's bad news. A pathetic leech relying on his wife's power. Get out of the journalism industry. Does he even have the right to criticize others? Rowan is the ultimate Nepo baby. Is the journalism industry really this rotten?" I urged the authorities to investigate him. The situation spiraled out of control and I was forced to suspend my work. Even Seraphina's company stock took a hit. Seraphina was so furious she actually cursed out loud. "I'm going to find someone to scrub these posts right now. Then I'm sending a lawyer's letter to Caspian. What kind of trash is he? Even if he dies, we're not getting a divorce. Do you trust me?" I looked at the multiplying comments. "Hold off on the crisis PR. Let the situation ferment a bit more. The bigger the impact now, the more satisfying the boomerang effect will be when it hits back, right?" A few days later, I went to the publishing house and pulled the security camera footage. Caspian was just an intern. He probably didn't realize that due to the sensitive nature of journalism and business secrets, our office not only required keycards, but was also fully equipped with security cameras. His entire sneaky operation at my desk on the day he quit was recorded in crystal clear HD. Not only that, but I also screenshotted the entire history of bank transfers Seraphina had sent him in the past, along with a series of apologizing, begging, and even confessing texts he had recently sent her, claiming he regretted everything and wanted her to pursue him again. On the third day, when public outrage was at its absolute peak, I compiled all the evidence and posted it online with the caption, "I will permanently reserve the right to sue Mr. Caspian for invasion of privacy, malicious defamation, and unpaid debts." Seraphina, having held back her rage for days, instantly shared my post. "Our marital relationship is excellent. The contract back then was my promise to my husband, a guarantee. It was my way of telling him, he has the right to love me, and he also has the freedom to leave. Furthermore, my husband is wonderful, graduated from a top university, has a respectable career and works incredibly hard. While his family background might not match mine, he is far more outstanding than the vast majority of people hiding behind keyboards. He is more than worthy of me, and worthy of anyone." What shocked me the most was that Mr. Sterling, who rarely used the internet, registered a brand new account that very day specifically to share my post. I had absolutely no knowledge of the relationship between Rowan and CEO Seraphina at the time. What compelled me to accept the journalist's invitation was his righteous heart. Exposing the truth is the most fundamental quality of a journalist. Upon interacting with him, I found reporter Rowan to possess sharp insights and unique perspectives on the future of the market. Conversing with him was a delight, and it gave me hope seeing that the younger generation has even better ideas than ours. With Mr. Sterling speaking out, many other heavyweights stopped holding back and shared the post to support me, completely shattering the rumor that I relied on connections to succeed. The winds of public opinion shifted instantly. Wow, so the intern was eyeing someone else's wife? How thick is his skin? Couldn't get the girl, so he resorted to spreading rumors to destroy their marriage. I'm not asking anything else, just when is this scumbag going to pay back the 200K plus? What a deadbeat. Boo-hoo, I'm the only one whose heart is broken. Is my wife really a love-brained simp? I can't accept this. In an instant, Caspian's reputation was completely obliterated. Journalism values the truth above all else. After pulling a stunt like this, it was impossible for Caspian to ever set foot in the industry again. Of course, Seraphina's love-on-the-brain persona was also publicly verified. The day I returned to work, the colleagues who used to gossip about my wife having an affair all swarmed around me. Oh my God, Rowan, you were way too low-key before. We had no idea your wife was Seraphina. Seraphina is my idol. When I started in this industry, my dream was to interview her one day. No, seriously, I'm so jealous of you. No need to be jealous, I smirked. My wife isn't as perfect as you think. She flexes our relationship every day and acts overly attentive. It keeps me constantly on edge, wondering if she's done something wrong behind my back. Now I don't even dare to be happy. Afterward, I officially sued Caspian. The court enforced a mandatory execution, forcing him to repay the money he owed me, plus compensation for the damage to my reputation. After that, I never saw Caspian again. 2 years later, Seraphina and I held our wedding. At the reception, she got drunk, and when we got home, she clung to me, rambling nonsense. I already had my eye on you back then. This little mouth of yours, firing off like a machine gun, it's exactly my type. When I heard you roasting Caspian, I honestly wanted to put your mouth on an altar, light 3 sticks of incense and worship it. Absolutely not, and completely unnecessary. A few days later, I accidentally ran into Caspian. He was dragging 3 kids along, dressed shabbily and looking completely unkempt. The gentle, refined aura he used to have was entirely gone. The 3 toddlers, about a year old, were screaming and throwing tantrums, causing an awful racket. One of them had snot smeared all over their face, clearly having just fallen into the dirt. But Caspian didn't even bother to wipe the kid clean. A moment later, a rough-looking woman dawdled over. Can't even watch one kid properly, Caspian exploded. Roxy, what is that supposed to mean? Back when you were pregnant and found it was triplets, I wanted to abort, but you insisted on keeping them. Look at us now. You just got out of prison, you can't even find a job, and the whole family relies on me alone to make money. And you have the nerve to blame me? If Caspian hadn't yelled her name, I would have almost forgotten this novel had a female lead I had never even met. Judging by the looks of it, she wasn't much to look at. Roxy, it seemed, was entirely unhealed. Hearing Caspian's words, she started spewing a string of bleep-worthy words. Did I force you to marry me? Did I beg you? If you can't stand me, say it to my face. Stop beating around the bush. In the past, you'd run to beg that rich girl for money at the drop of a hat, completely throwing away your dignity. Now that she dumped you, you're trying to act like a tough guy with me? Nobody's going to pamper you here. Roxy, watch your mouth. Who did I go begging for money for? The two argued louder and louder while the 3 kids wailed in harmony. Passers-by frequently cast sideways glances at the spectacle. Right at that moment, Seraphina walked over, holding a fresh fish in her hand. What are you looking at? Nothing. Seraphina didn't care and grabbed my hand. I'm making boiled fish for you tonight. I got a tip from a master chef this time. Tonight, I'm going to show you what a whole new level of culinary excellence tastes like. I smiled faintly, turned my head and kissed Seraphina on the cheek. What's that for? She asked. I shook my head. Nothing. Just thinking that the way things are right now is really good. Seraphina looked at me strangely. I smiled. What I meant was, it's truly wonderful that you awakened and that you are by my side.